All right. Lincoln, you have to back up. You cannot be in this video. Lincoln. I mean... Hi guys, my name is Lindsay, and this is my first ever YouTube video. I have officially joined Booktube. So I guess I'll start with a little bit about myself. My name is Lindsay. I am a pediatrician full-time, a full-time mom of 2, and also a full-time reader. And I figured, hey, I watch a lot of Booktube and these seem like my people, and so let's do this. I decided for this first video that we would kind of do a combined December TBR as well as the Booktube Newbie tag, because I don't know about you guys, I really love the TBRs, but I can't just sit and watch the Booktube Newbie tag, and so I thought this might make it a little bit more interesting, give it a little more zhuzh. Okay, so plan for today is I'm going to tell you about the 5 books that I have on my TBR for the month of December, and then kind of interspersed we'll answer these Booktube Newbie tag questions and we'll go from there. All right, so we will start with question 1 of the Booktube Newbie tag, which is why did you decide to start this channel? Well, I decided to start this channel because I really don't have anyone that I can talk about books with. My tastes are very variable. They are very fantasy leaning, and I don't really know anyone else in my personal life or in my family life that lean in that direction. And so I wanted to be able to connect with people who are interested in the same things as me. And so I'm hoping that this channel will do that for us. All right, so the second question of the Booktube Newbie tag is, what are some fun and unique things that you bring to Booktube? And I would say I'm definitely really nerdy. I'm definitely goofy. And so I'm hoping that people kind of resonate with that. I think people on Booktube would, and I think the people who watch it would. So I do like that. And I do have a wide, like I said in the first question, I have a wide range in taste as far as books go. And I feel that sometimes on Booktube, people get pigeonholed into this one genre that they read, and that is not me. And I don't think that's a majority of readers. Like I said, I am fantasy leaning. I like romantasy. I like, high fantasy. I love it all. But I do also really like a lot of other things. And so I'm hoping that that at least helps with some people. All right, so now that those first 2 questions are answered, let's talk about the first book that I'm going to read, which is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I read Once Upon a Broken Heart in October, and I loved it. I loved that whimsical fairy tale type of writing. I was really transported into this world, and I loved the world. But that being said, I was like, wait a second, if I love this book so much, let me take a step back and actually start with the Caraval trilogy first, and then I'll go back to the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. That way, whenever her next books come out, I'll be ready for that. And so I took my step back to Caraval. As you can see, I got a box set, so I have the other 2 because I am just assuming that I am going to love this book. So for those of you that don't know anything about Caraval, from what I understand, it's about a woman named Scarlett, her sister Tella, and they live with their kind of evil father who is trying to marry them off. And Scarlett has always dreamed of going to Caraval, which is this show that has audience participation, and she finally gets invited. And so I guess we go along on her ride, and I am excited. What are you most excited about with this channel? And it's really connecting with you guys. Probably everyone says that, but like I said, I don't really have a lot of friends or family who read similar books to me. You know, my family members read, but they're definitely not the same taste as myself. And so I really, really am most excited about being able to meet everyone who has similar reading taste to me and be able to talk about it. All right, next question is, why do you love reading? So I think I had mentioned this in the earlier question, but I am a pediatrician. I work in a hospital. It is a very stressful and very demanding job. And then I come home and I have two amazing, beautiful little girls that I take care of. And, you know, don't get me wrong, my husband helps, but life can be pretty stressful. And so reading kind of provides me that outlet. You know, everyone always talks about, oh, it's immersive, but it provides me that outlet to really take my brain away from those kind of stressful things and really just focus on having fun. All right, so the next book that I want to talk about is that I will be reading is one of my Book of the Month books from November. So I have intermittently used Book of the Month. The books can be hit or miss for me, but I was really torn between this one, and then there was a book called What the River Knows, which I'm hoping to get in the future with a credit. But I decided on this again and again. I just found the synopsis kind of interesting, and it seemed like maybe a little bit of like magical realism, fantasy leaning, but also being like a contemporary fiction type of novel. And so I was very interested in this. So again and again, this is by Jonathan Evison. And from what the synopsis says, it's about Eugene Miles, or Gino. He is 100 years old, and he is, you know, coming towards the end of his life, and he decides to share his life story with his nursing assistant, Angel. And from what he claims to tell her is that he has lived multiple strings of lives over the past 1,000 years. And, you know, is it true? Is it not? Is it exaggerated? I think we'll find out, and I think it sounds really fun. So the next question is, what book or series got you into reading? And I have always loved reading. There are times in my life where it's kind of ebbed and flowed with how much I do in my lifetime. But I will say, a couple of years ago, I really got back hooked into reading and realized how much I really love fantasy. And so in answering this question, the book that got me back into reading is also going to be one that I am rereading this month, and that is Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I adored this book when I first read it. I ate it up, I will say. And I really want to do a reread of this one and then move on to House of Sky and Breath, which is book 2, which I have not read. And I would love to do both of these books ahead of the release date of the next book in this series, which I think that one comes out on January 24th. And so I figured, why not? This is a great time to be doing this. So for those of you who don't know, which I'm sure all of you have, but this is a very complex fantasy novel. It is an adult fantasy novel, and it follows our two main characters, Bryce and Hunt, as they try to solve this like mystery about certain things that are going on in the world. The political system is very complex, and it did, honestly, the first time around, take me a little bit to kind of really get into it. I was kind of in the very beginning, I was like, not sure how I feel about this. But as I kept reading, I was just sucked deeper and deeper in, and I fell more and more in love with these characters, especially Hunt. So like I said, I'm excited to get back into it. All right, so what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? One, do you have any tips and tricks? Anything you recommend? Oh, hi, Link. Everyone, this is Lincoln, my Greater Swiss Mountain Dog, who has decided that, yes, he would also like to be on Booktube. All right. Okay, bud. Okay. All right. So yeah, the first question I would ask is, do you have any tips and tricks? Because I am totally new to this and I would just love any tips or tricks that anyone has. So all is welcome. The next question I would ask is, if you had to recommend one singular book to everyone that you loved, what would it be? I honestly don't even know what I would answer this question, because I feel that books can be very taste dependent. And so making a generalized blanket statement would be hard, but if they had any, I would definitely be interested in finding out. So those are the two questions that I would ask. And then the next one is, what challenges do you think you're going to face with this BookTube channel? I think that first is really facing imposter syndrome. I have been thinking for many months about wanting to start a BookTube channel, and I put it off for a very long time because I was really having a lot of imposter syndrome, feeling like I don't know how to do this, and why would I start a BookTube channel? Yeah, I love to read, but why would I do this? I'm not qualified to make YouTube videos. And so I think that's kind of the biggest challenge that I'll face. And plus getting comfortable filming and recording, because like I said, this is my first time doing this. So it'll be interesting. The other challenge is going to be finding the time. Like I said, I have a very demanding and stressful job, but this is something I want to do for me and do for fun. And I hope that I can show people that, you can do this if you want to. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, the next question in this BookTube newbie tag is, when did you start reading? So my mom will always tell the story that when I was little, I begged her to teach me how to read way before kindergarten, or I don't know if it was way before. That might be an exaggeration, but before kindergarten, because I was so interested in reading. And it's funny because this is like a side story, but it's funny because I see that in my 3-year-old daughter. She loves to read. She adores books. They are her comfort. She keeps them in her bed because if she is uncomfortable or nervous in the middle of the night, she will often just sit in her bed and open a book and read by her nightlight. And so I see a lot of myself in her in that, which, I'm super biased, but I think that's so cute. And so I was very young. Now, I also was that girl in school who actually read the books. Okay, so the next book that is on my December TBR is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. This book is a little out of my wheelhouse because it sounds like it's going to be like a historical fiction, literary fiction type of book. But when I love a historical fiction book, I love it. And this book won Barnes & Noble's Book of the Year. So I am very excited to pick this one up. So the interesting part is that I am in Pennsylvania. This book is based in Pennsylvania at a town that is very close to me. And so I think that's also part of what piqued my interest about it. But basically, from what I know, this is a book about a skeleton that is found in a well when there are workers in this town kind of digging things up. And it's in a certain neighborhood, and it sounds like there are going to be discussions on racism in there, and so it's all about figuring out what happened, and I am interested. All right, so last two questions, and then just one more book that I want to talk about on my December TBR. So the next question is, where do you read? So I tend to read in bed a lot before I go to sleep. So this actually started as a little challenge to myself. I was feeling like I was on my phone, scrolling through Instagram before bed and playing around on social media, and I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. This is about a year ago now, and ever since then I sit and I read for 30, 45 minutes, an hour before bed, and that has really been a great thing for me, and I think for my mental health too, and so I love that. When it's during the day, I just read wherever I land. It tends to be the couch. We also have a reading chair kind of in the corner with a nice window. And so I like to read there too sometimes. And then the last question that I'll answer on this Booktube newbie tag is, what kind of books do you like? So I mentioned this in a couple of other questions. I am very fantasy leaning. I love world building and being brought to a place that doesn't exist. And I just find it fascinating that authors are able to immerse you in this place that isn't real a lot of times. But I do also really like fantasy that takes place in our world. So, I think I like a mixed bag of things. If it's not going to be fantasy, I love a lot of other things. I don't read a lot of thrillers. I do like horror. I do like literary fiction. So I will pick those up here and there. But honestly, if a book catches my attention, I don't care what genre it is. I'm going to pick it up and read it. All right, so the last book on my December TBR is going to be The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have never read an Ali Hazelwood book, and I see her talked about a lot on Booktube, and so I placed a hold for the audiobook on my on the Libby app, and so it should come in soon. I mean, it could even be in before December, but that will be my next audiobook listening. And so I am excited for that. And from what I understand, she writes STEM romances, which is like right up my alley. And so I will be interested in reading that. But from what I have heard, this is about Olive. She is our main character, and she is trying to convince her friend that she is over her ex-boyfriend. And while trying to do that, she decides to kiss the first guy she sees, who happens to be another professor there at her university. And so, so begins a fake dating trope. I have never read a fake dating romance that I can think about. So this would be my first one, and I'm pretty excited about it. I tend to lean towards the enemies to lovers category. It tends to be what I like the most, but we'll see. Maybe this will convert me, and I will now turn into a fake dating trope romance reader. All right, guys, so that is it for my first YouTube video. Give it a thumbs up if you guys liked it, and let me know what you want to see in the future. I mean, I'm planning on doing kind of the usual, the monthly TBRs and then the monthly wrap-ups. Now, I will say I tend to read anywhere from 4 to 5 books a month, so my wrap-ups are probably going to be a little bit shorter, but do I think that's a bad thing? No. I'm going to set my Goodreads challenge reading goal to 50 books because about a book a week I think is reasonable. But I think I have a couple of other things coming up. I plan to attempt a vlog of the Crescent City series as I reread that and then read the new book. And so that'll be fun. I love the Goodreads challenges that other booktubers do, and so I will probably jump on that bandwagon as well. And then I will likely do the same usual, like top 10 at the end of the year, but we will see. And then I have a couple of other secret things popped in there that I hope you guys will enjoy. So once again, like this video if you are interested in seeing more, and thank you for being so welcoming into this community, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.